If you're not dating from a healed place, you're dating from a broken place. And I know that for myself, because when you're dating from that broken place, you're looking for somebody to come and fix you. And nobody can come and fix you. Discernment, dating with discernment. I always tell the ladies, go on the date the guys, but put your discernment in your back pocket and make sure you use it. And don't look at this person and get so caught up in the chemistry or the vibes, as we say now, because you can go out with somebody and everything can be fine and y'all connected and everything's good. But then the reality of it is that
hello and welcome to another amazing episode of TMC, where we are here to help you take your relationships
from surviving to thriving.
If this is your first time joining us, go ahead and subscribe. Click the like button and turn on your notifications so you'll be notified each time we upload a video. Today on TMC, we have a special guest, Miss Jennifer Michelle with Dating on Purpose.
I'm Jennifer Michelle. I am the founder and face of Single Lady Notes on Instagram. I am an entrepreneur, an author, a coach. Something funny about me, like this whole ordeal, is that I never really wanted to talk about relationships out loud.
Wow.
And I kind of got thrown into this. And now that I'm here, I absolutely love it. And I'm like, okay, God, I know it was your purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we definitely believe the same and believe that you are doing a great work to all the ladies, not just the single ladies, but the single ladies and all the ladies out there. So Jennifer, let's talk a little bit about Single Lady Notes, because what struck me, there is a post you had, and I have to read the post so that I make sure that I'm getting it correct. Dating is only exhausting to people who haven't healed enough to know the difference between a catch and a cautious sign. Let's talk a little bit about that post.
Yeah, so I do a lot of live videos and have a lot of interaction with my ladies. And the one consistent thing that they say is dating is so exhausting, And I'm just like, I'm exhausted hearing y'all telling me that, right? So no, I really am, because I'm dating and I'm having literally the time of my life, because I've switched up some things in my life and I've healed and I have discernment and I've taken full responsibility for the people that I choose, right? So I'm trying to get them to understand that it's not really that dating is exhausting, it's that you have a little bit more work to do. And some of you are dating from a deficit. Some of you are dating from a place of a void, and you're getting frustrated because you're looking for someone to fill something that should already be filled. If you're looking to date somebody, you should be looking for somebody that's going to add to you. So they're frustrated because they're looking for something to come and fill something that they think is broken. And it is broken. It's brokenness inside of them. But instead of looking for that in another person, they need to look at it within. Because for me personally, I've gone through a plethora of things. I've been married, I've gotten divorced, and that was probably the hardest relationship or ending that I had gone through. Yeah. But it was when I finally looked myself in the mirror and said, Jennifer, you chose him. And why now I have the discernment, because I've done the work to say, when I'm dating someone, you know what? Not you, but you. Or maybe you for right now, but I don't know about the future, but I'm confident enough to say, let me see how this goes day to day. And I'm also secure enough to say, when you're not for me, I can let you go. And I think a lot of women haven't learned how to distinguish between someone who is a flaming red flag versus someone who is like, okay, this is someone that might have some potential.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. So what changed for you?
But what I didn't realize until after my divorce was that I was actually dating from a deficit. I was looking for someone to come in and be the superhero and make everything right. And that's not what relationship and marriage is. So what changed for me was after that, I was sick of myself a little bit, because I said, Jennifer, this is the second ring that you received, your first marriage. What's happening here? So I had to look at myself and say, yeah, they may have done whatever they did. That's fine. But what was it in me? I really just was like, okay, Jennifer, you have some inner wounds that need to be healed. You have some people that you need to forgive. And most importantly, you need to forgive yourself. You need to love yourself, and you need to really get to a place where you can trust yourself. So I decided, I said, I don't want to feel like this ever again. the pain and the devastation from that, because I went through it in 2013 and here we were in 2019. And I was like, I can't go through that again. So something has to change within me. So really my brokenness, I feel like, got me to a place of like, okay, let's piece you back together, but this time let's do it the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jennifer, as you were talking, I heard you say 3 things, and you said heal, discernment, and choice or selection. And I think that those are 3 important things you mentioned, and I think they're very important, especially in the dating process. What is your advice, your take on those 3 things and how important they are in the dating process and in relation to a relationship?
Probably the most important. If you're not dating from a healed place, you're dating from a broken place. And I know that for myself, because when you're dating from that broken place, you're looking for somebody to come and fix you. And nobody can come and fix you. Discernment, dating with discernment. I always tell the ladies, go on the date the guys, but put your discernment in your back pocket and make sure you use it. And don't look at this person and get so caught up in the chemistry or the vibes, as we say now, because you can go out with somebody and everything can be fine and y'all connected and everything's good. But then the reality of it is that y'all aren't compatible, but you're going based off of this euphoria that you're feeling. But if you check in with your spirit is going to say, well, he might not be right because of this. And if you really tap into your gifts, you might be able to look at them and see, he got some daddy wounds, he got this going on. And then if you're a dreamer like me, God's gonna show you something in a dream. I go to God and I ask him, like, what do you think about this person? And if God gives me a no, it's a no. Yeah. And a lot of women aren't okay with that because they're so happy to have someone finally that they don't know how to be like, okay, this ain't the one for me.
Yeah. Yep. That's good. That's good. And in line with that, if you could give us a few things that you see, in your opinion, as common mistakes that we make when dating.
The biggest one that I've learned is attaching emotionally to someone too soon. I think we attach to people way too soon. And that was something that I had to learn through the attachment styles. You guys, it's a buzz conversation now, but I'm so glad it's being had because I didn't know about it. And I didn't know that I was an anxious attacher. So I was attaching to people out of fear of not having someone, because I had been abandoned and I had been rejected before. So that is probably one of the major ones. Like, heal the inner child so that way you can go ahead and attract the person that you want, right? Another thing is mindset. This is the one I probably harp on the most. Mindset. A lot of women don't realize that your mindset isn't the only thing that takes you farther in your career, your goals, entrepreneurship, etc., because people focus on it in that part of their life. But when it comes to your relational life, you can't have, and you've probably heard this before, stinking thinking about your love life. If you think you think there are no men out here for you, there won't be any men for you. Absolutely. If you think that all men are wasting your time, all of them are going to waste your time, because you have now programmed yourself to believe this. And as you think it, so it is, right? And a lot of people don't realize that if you don't change that, you don't rewire your mind and your belief system, even in your love life, you're going to keep getting what you always got. And that's what I had to do. I was listening to the ladies like, oh, okay, well, y'all saying this and y'all saying that. And this is when I was ready to get back in the dating world. And I was like, but that doesn't have to be true for me. Whatever you believe is true for you. So I started telling them, well, if you say that dating is boring, that's true for you, but it's not true for me. I'm having a great time. There's an abundance of good, godly men out there that are looking for me. And I had to start professing things, believing these things in order for that to actually start being my reality.
Awesome. Yes.
Earlier, you mentioned this word chemistry. I realized the word chemistry can be different for a lot of people. What is chemistry? How do we identify that?
So chemistry for me, when I think about it, like, okay, you've met this person, you've had a couple conversations, you can't wait to talk to them again. You have like those butterflies. I call them butterflies, but I also call them warm, fuzzy, dummy feelings because there's that warm, fuzzy feeling, but sometimes it makes you really dumb because you're not really looking at this person beyond the surface. You're enjoying their company. Maybe you guys went bowling and you had fun. That doesn't mean that that's your husband. That just means y'all had a good time. And some people think because that, like I said, that euphoria that they're feeling with that person, that this is the person that I'm supposed to be with, and yada, yada. And it's like, no, give it some time, because when that euphoria falls away, what else do you have left?
Yeah.
What else do you like about that person? What else do y'all have in common? And I say that's a lot about for the women that want to get married. Compatibility needs to be stronger than chemistry, because you're not always going to like your partner. You're not always going to wake up and feel those warm, loving feelings. But you have to have a decision. You have to be decided that this is the most compatible person for me in order for you to stay in it and stick in the fight. And a lot of women and men aren't looking at relationships and dating like that. They're like, okay, the vibe is right. I feel good around this person. It's all flesh and feeling, but it's not really settling with their spirit. So I try to say, make sure that compatibility is also up there when it comes to weighing the chemistry and compatibility.
Yeah, they have potential. That's the word. What's your idea or thought about
the danger of dating?
Yes, yes.
So I think that it's two-sided, right? Because they have to have some potential to keep you interested, but then it depends on what that potential is, right? So it's like you could say, oh, well, we have like interests, we get along very well. All of these different things match up that we want the same things. But then it's still like, it's the potential. Are they going to see that thing through? Right. But then there's the other side of, you, and I put up a post about this the other day, and I did like guy A and guy B, and one was financially secure and had all of these great things. And the other one was financially finding his way, but had all the same qualities. And a lot of women went for the one that wasn't financially secure. But the danger in that is, what if he never becomes financially secure? And that is carrying the load. But in your mind, you know that you want a man that can take care of you and your family. Then you're going to resent that man later, all because you got caught up in potential. So I think that you have to really look at who that person is today, especially if you are in a relationship. Look at who that person is today. If you're thinking about marriage, can I marry this person who he is today if he never changes? Can I do that?
Yes.
If you can't, you might want to slow down and let your relationship and that person continue to evolve into who they could or couldn't be.
That's definitely, I want you to, before we move on, I want you to speak to that individual. They're lonely. They're lonely, and their emotions is getting in the way of their logic. What would you say to that sister or brother to help them out?
I would say to them, you've never felt loneliness until you felt lonely sitting right next to somebody. Being next to someone that you gave your all to, or you're in a relationship with, and you still feel like you're by yourself because you chose the wrong person. Imagine that loneliness. I've been lonely by myself, but I have never felt the loneliness of that until my ex. And I would rather be by myself, have peace of mind, peace in my spirit, have some girlfriends I can call on, a car I can get into and take a ride if I need to, than have to sit next to someone and still feel like I'm all by myself.
Wow. I mean, you wrap that in a package that is definitely a gift to everyone that has heard it or will hear it. It is definitely a gift, because it's a nugget for the TMC listeners to understand and realize that you may think in the moment that because you're not currently in a relationship or you're not booed up and you think that you're lonely and you're without something, but to be in a relationship with the wrong person, to experience loneliness to a degree that's beyond anything that could be explained, would definitely be more detrimental to you as a person than being by yourself as far as not in a relationship. Even going back to the question of the feeling of loneliness, what are you doing with that time? And that time is your very, very best friend, whether it's you getting to know someone or, like you said, working on yourself. The time in between when you're not in a relationship, that's the best time to do that deep dive. And like you said, heal the inner child. Pay attention to the wounds, pay attention to how I'm selecting. Have I been in this type of relationships 5 or 6 times? Does every relationship end the same way or tend to have a similar pattern? And when you say the word time, it gets me giddy, because I think that a lot of times we don't realize the great gift of time, to be able to give yourself that time and to give the relationship that time to learn and grow, regardless of what age you are. Time and paying attention is your best asset.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And it's funny you even said that, because I was in my bedroom before we recorded this, and I was talking to God, and I was like, I'm 35, and I was like, I would love to be married and starting a family at 35, but I'm okay if it happens at 36. And I had a moment to realize, like, Jennifer, you've gained so much peace with not being in a rush anymore, that you are literally happy with where you are right now. And I'm starting to really embrace that more and more every day, because a woman my age, they start telling you your clock is ticking and all of these different lies that you don't have to believe, because God is the one who does all, right? And I'm just at so much peace, like, if right here, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm not in a rush to get anywhere. So that's confirmation to the conversation I just had with the Lord.
Being self-aware, paying attention to, what happened, what led to where I am, why am I like this? Or why do I feel like this? Why do I need this? And even you just talked about a conversation you had prior to recording with God, and you're saying, I'm at a point in my time in my life where I'm at peace, and I'm okay if it happens at 36, if it happens at 37, because I'm happy and I'm at a point of peace. And I think that the generation that follow, or those that are coming up, they've definitely grasped that peace, and that peace of mind, that self-awareness, that being okay with you as a person is more important than anything else. And I think they grasp the idea that it is what allows you to be in better relationships, to have better relationships, because you're doing the work. And you talked about that even in the beginning when you said, I've always been the kind of person that has been focused on doing inner work and working on myself. So I think that's great. And I see there can be a gap, because those that are older, we tend to think that if somebody goes to therapy, something wrong with them, or you have a problem, or you're crazy, or whatever, all these other stigmas that we've put on getting help. And we don't have that connection to feel like, okay, this is going to help me be better, instead of something is wrong with the women that you work with. Or if you were working with a single lady and she said to you, I've been in and out of relationships, and some have lasted a while, some have lasted a short time. Well, maybe I'm in a relationship now and I'm sticking in this one, hoping that it will work out. What would be your advice to her?
So I would do a couple things. I would ask her why she's hoping for it to work out. Where's that hope coming from? Because it sounds like it's misplaced hope, right? But then I would also ask her for a track record. Like, how did you meet this guy? What was your first couple of conversations like? When did things start to shift? And then I would go through that with each person, and I would show her what was inside of her that was making her make those decisions. I would take her through that multiple times to say, hey, you're doing this because of your abandonment wounds, because you think that this guy is going to leave you because your dad left you. And I would dig like that. Like, was your dad around? Was your mom around? Were you adopted? Were you molested? Like, I would, like, in my coaching sessions, I go deep. What happened to you that you feel like you have to put your hope in this person just to keep them? And why is not keeping yourself more important? So I would help her navigate through that space. That way she can see what she's holding on to, and then also ask her, is this what you wanted? When you thought of your love life, you thought about the man of your dream, is this him?
Wow.
And if it's not him, why are you holding on to him? And if you could have the person that you actually want, how would your life be different? Like, you got to put people mentally in that space so they can see the difference. Like, oh, I'm settling. And then it's up to them whether or not they want to do the work or make the hard decisions to get what they truly deserve.
Wow. Thank you for that piece of advice. Jennifer, one other thing. I don't know how much time we have, but we got to dig into this one. You had a post that talked about letting go, and you talked about letting go in relationships, and you talked about failing versus successfully ending. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So we live in this world where if the relationship ends, that it was a failed relationship. And what I've learned now that I have a healed perspective and I've been in a relationship with this healed perspective is that all relationships don't work out. It doesn't have to. I was in a relationship with a guy. Everything with us was going well, but then some things were altered in his personal life that altered his ability to be the man that I deserved. And there was no scandals, no mistreatment, nothing like that. We got to a point where it was like, you're my friend and I love you and I care about you. And it's best for us not to be together right now. So I can work on my stuff by myself. As a man, he knew he needed to do that by himself. And as a woman, I respected that. And I feel like that was a relationship that successfully ended because we walked away still friends. I spoke to him today, as a matter of fact. We walked away still friends, but also knowing we didn't need to be together as well. And some people don't understand that you can meet a guy and things can go great, but you get to a crossroads where this person's life is going this way and yours is going that way. And it just happens. And it doesn't make either person a bad person. It just means that we're making different decisions for our lives individually, which means we can't walk together cohesively. And it's okay. And I don't look at that as, oh, I had another failed relationship. No, I look at it as if I gave love another chance and I had a healthy relationship after a toxic relationship, and I learned something, I grew, and I still walked away with a friend. And a lot of people, they internalize the ending as failure. And I'm like, no, if you successfully got out of something that wasn't long term, you did a good thing, because now you're opening yourself up for someone who is supposed to be a part of your destiny. Then your life can really flourish, because the person that you decide to walk with can keep you stagnant too. If people don't realize that. So I feel like when you're single, you have that freedom to really look through the field and say, is this the one? Is that the one? Is this the one? Until you find that match. And that is success to me. I would rather date and go through relationships that were healthy and fun and loving till I got to the ultimate destination, and then go through them and think that I was failing, because the reality of it's one person that you're going to be with for the rest of your life.
When you said that we're to the point where our lives are going on two different paths, if you emotionally attach too soon, you're already connected, and you're 5 dates in and you already writing his last name on the paper, or you already calling her wifey, and you only 5 dates in, you don't really know them, the full totality of them. They don't know the totality of you, and you haven't given yourself the time or the opportunity to see if our destinies or if our purposes or our paths are going to line up. So that's what I was thinking when she was talking. I'm like, this is again the whole time thing, because sometimes we don't. And I think that's why it's called dating with an ing, because it's happening. You know, you got to pay attention. It's something that is currently going. It's not just, I guess, one date, but it's dating. So I think if you look at, and that's when we're talking about that, is not from a standpoint of you going around sleeping with everybody. It's about getting to know a person, having dinner with them, spending time with them, knowing what their purpose is, what their destiny is, what they feel that they're called to do, and what you're called to do, to see if those things align, so that you can move forward if they are the one, or you can separate as far as dating and just be friends.
Yeah, I agree.
Or business partners. I always tell people, like, you really need to look at that person and say, why did I connect with them? They may be a good person just to have in your network. They may connect you to someone else that can help you with something else. You always meet somebody for a reason, but if your purpose overrides that, you might miss out on it. And then you're like, oh, dang, you looking through their social media page, I didn't know he did this or did that. But because you were so stuck on them being your lover, you missed out on the potential of what else they could have been in your world.
Yeah.
So I tell people, pay attention, like really get to know that person and define what really connects y'all.
You just gave another nugget. You said, what else could they be in your world? Because sometimes if we're dating someone or we start out dating them, we think that's all they can be, is a significant other. That's good. That is good. So Jennifer, tell us about Single Lady Notes. You are an author. You're the face of Single Lady Notes. Tell us about your books. Tell us about Single Lady Notes, and how do you help others? How can they connect with you?
Yeah. So I started Single Lady Notes in 2016, and I started the page to vent. Oddly enough, I was dating a pastor at the time, and he just hurt my little feelings. And I was just like, you know what? I want a space because I'm very vocal online, and I already talked about relationships online. And I said, I want a space where I can say how I'm really feeling about love and relationships without anybody knowing it's me. So I started the page and I just started like putting quotes up that resonated with me about dating, purity, whatever, God pretty much gave to me. And then the page just started growing and growing and growing and growing. And then it was like, okay, well, I guess this is happening for real. And it's crazy too, because I remember it was a night in May in 2016, and I took a nap on a Friday night, and I was like, let me just take a nap, because I was frustrated about whatever I was frustrated about. And I woke up and I heard Single Lady Notes, and God said make an Instagram page and make a landing page. And I went on, like, I think Canva at the time, and made a little logo thing, and I think that's still the same one on my website, and I just put it out there. But for years forward, it just started growing and growing and growing. So then I had to accept the fact that, Jennifer, you have something here. And God is going to make you do this.
Yes.
I fully accepted the call and was like, all right, God, if we're going to do this, what do you want me to do next? So, and when the pandemic came around, that's when I started doing live videos. And I did them from a place of just doing a mental health check-in with the ladies, like, how y'all feeling? Y'all good? Everybody all right? And then I started doing like Q&As and stuff like that. And then I started to see like, oh, they need to hear from me. They need the wisdom that God has put inside of me. And I didn't realize how much it was impacting them. And I already had one book published when I started the page. And that book is called Good Girl Gone Bad, Gone Holy. And that book is about my life from childhood up until adulthood and the different things that I learned. I didn't grow up in church, but I was introduced to church, and then finally getting saved in college, and also going through a plethora of things that people would probably be very shocked and surprised that I went through. I have so many people who read that book and they're like, I can't even believe you were that girl, because you're nothing like her now. And I'm like, yeah, God did a good work. But I take them through that journey, and I give a lot of women encouragement on a plethora of things. I talk about relationships in there too, my experience with domestic violence. I use my books primarily to tell my testimony in order to save someone else, because I feel like when you don't tell your testimony, that you literally have the key to somebody's prison, and you are saying, I'm gonna keep you in there because I'm too afraid to tell my story. I have too much shame to tell the ugly parts of what I've been through. And when I wrote that first book, and so many women, like, their lives were changing, I said, oh, okay, this is bigger than me. Yeah. So I wrote that book. I kept doing the lives, the Q&As. I was already a certified Christian life coach. So I started offering coaching to the ladies, because some of them needed to speak to me one-on-one. And that's something I still do. And I wrote my second book. So I wrote my second book, which is called Pressure: Lessons in Love versus Toxicity. And that book is, it's done very well by the grace of God. I'm very thankful. But it was also a book that I took them pretty much through my healing journey after my divorce. And I brought them into my world and talked about self-love. I talked about attachment styles. I talked about what dating should look like. I talked about what it meant to be, and I coined these words: a safe woman or a safe man. And I talk about what a safe woman is, and I talk about what a safe man is. And I talk about what a dangerous woman is too, because as women, we have to take accountability for our toxicity as well. Right?
Amen.
And then I talk about the dangerous man, what to look out for. Then I talk about healing. And I also talk about positioning yourself for God's promise. So that was my second book. And I'm actually working on my third book too. And here's the crazy thing: I don't like to write, y'all. I don't. In school, I hated English. I wasn't a writer, but here I am because God told me so, writing these books. So that's what I do. And I like to pop on live and talk to my girls. I have a small text group, a Facebook group. I have a dating boot camp for the ladies that want to like go through a 4-week intensive training and have access to me personally. And I can guide them through their dating processes. If they're dating someone and they have questions in the thick of it, I give them access to me in my dating boot camp. So that is where Single Lady Notes is right now. And I had an event. I actually had a live event as well. So live events will be coming as well. So yeah, whatever God tells me to do with Single Lady Notes, that's what I'm going to do. I am fully yielded at this point.
Amazing.
That is
Amazing.
amazing. Yep.
In your opinion, what are some areas that one must heal from before they can experience love the way they desire and deserve?
A big one is going to be any abandonment issues you have. And I know I've said that a word a lot, but a lot of us struggle from that. A lot of us have either been abandoned by friendships that made us feel like we weren't worthy, by parents, siblings, you name it, relationally. It makes you feel like you're not worthy because somebody walked away from you. And sometimes you don't know why. And sometimes you don't ever get an apology. You don't get an explanation. So when you're dealing with that, you want to find people who are going to stay because you're tired of people leaving you. So that's one I had to deal with, because at one point, and by the grace of God, my father and I's relationship has been repaired. But at one point I felt like my father abandoned me, and I attributed all my failed relationships to that. I would say to myself, because my dad didn't want me, these guys don't want me either. And I put that into my worthy tank, which it was a lie. Another one would be, and this falls into, they fall together, rejection. You need to learn to be okay with knowing that you're not somebody's choice when you're dating. Yeah. Oh. And that's a big one.
Oh, yeah.
You need to walk in okay with that. This person may not choose me back if I choose them. And that doesn't diminish anything about me. It just means that person has a preference and I'm not their person. And it's okay. But because you've either been rejected from, rejection can come in many forms. Rejected from a job, rejection from family, rejection from friends, rejection from men, whatever it is, you have to heal that. But that also comes with like knowing yourself. Like identity is so key. Like you really need to know, like for me personally, my identity change started when I started reading my Bible and I found out who I was in Christ. And I got so rooted in that couldn't nobody, still to this day, nobody can tell me anything different, because my worthiness and my identity was coming from God. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what you think about me? This is what you want me to do? Really? I'm of a royal priesthood? Right? I'm chosen. Yeah. Like, and the things that God speaks to you personally, I was like, okay. And that's what I rest on. But a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't know who they are. And if you don't know who you are, you're going to fall for anything. And the last thing too is forgiveness. A lot of people don't know how to forgive people, but I think the most important person that they need to forgive is themselves.
Yes.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to forgive yourself, because if you don't forgive yourself, you're not going to trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, you're going to start dating people and giving them permission to play you. And I say this all the time on my lives. I say, nobody can play you without your permission.
Oh,
whoa.
Nobody play you without your permission or your participation. But if you don't trust yourself with yourself, you're going to fall for anybody. But now I'm at a place where I'm like, I'm not going to let nobody play with me. So can't nobody play with me. But a lot of people haven't gotten that revelation.
Yeah.
Oh my
That was
goodness.
good. That was good. Definitely some nuggets. So you've told us a little bit about Single Ladies Notes. So let's tell the TMC listeners how they can connect with you and Single Lady Notes.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok now at Single Lady Notes. And you can click the link in my bio and you can find out a plethora of things. If you want to get on my email list, if you want to get on my text blast, and I do actually text back, you can find that information. I have a Single Ladies playlist. I have an Amazon favorite store. I also have my own online boutique. So I also help in the fashion area too. So that's another way that you can connect with me. My coaching link is up there. So if you want to talk to me one-on-one, if you just want to be a part of the community and hang out, that's fine too. I look at that as support as well, like shares and getting on my lives, that is support. So those are a couple ways that you can connect with me.
On behalf of the TMC community, we want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us all.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to connecting with you all.
So we want to thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, go ahead and subscribe. click the like button and turn on your notifications so you will not miss an episode. And leave us a comment telling us what part of this episode stood out to you most, or the part that will change your life forever. If you're listening on iTunes, we also want to encourage you to rate the podcast and leave a review. That helps us get the word out. We want to invite you over to listen to our podcast, Lead to Greatness, where my husband is interviewing entrepreneurs and great leaders from all around the world every week. You don't want to miss it.
So we want to thank you for joining us today on TMC. Looking forward to hanging out with you again on next week as we continue to help you take your relationship from surviving to thriving. Bye. See you next week.